All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Terry Madonna joining us on the line here at News Radio 1020 KDK, CBS headquarters in Greentree. Obviously, the big story, CNN, CBS, everyone covering James Comey, the former FBI director, his testimony, a number of things, including how the president's lawyer has come out and said just moments ago that he is a leaker. So what does that mean, Dr. Terry Madonna? And he did just about everything in his testimony today other than really saying that he obstructed justice, meaning our president. Very interesting stuff.
Sure. I mean, I think the big takeaway was that Trump, was cleared. He was not the subject of an investigation. I think that's extremely important. The second one is that this business about whether Trump asked before Trump took the oath of office, and when the question came up about did Comey want to continue as FBI director, the question that Trump, or the statement that Trump made about the need for loyalty, and this whole business about loyalty and what it means and whether there was a quid pro quo expected, translation, Comey would be loyal to Trump and Trump would continue to keep him as FBI director. What does all that mean? So that's very, very important. The president, when you get into this whole business of what the public knows with the FBI and whether you're trying to influence it, what does that do to the FBI's independence and its ability of the organization to do the right kind of independence? So the whole loyalty thing is also extremely that's important. The other big takeaway is the fact that we're now in a debate about whether the President of the United States is a liar. And that's what Comey insisted and indicated today about some of the discussions that they had. And so now the credibility of the President is called into question, and that at some point is going to have to be reconciled if it is at all possible to reconcile it. The other huge question is what President Trump asked, and here there's a debate about whether he even asked this or not, asked Comey if he could end the investigation into Michael Flynn,
Former National Defense Minister, right?
As National Security Advisor. And the fact of the matter is that there's a big debate going on about that, and whether or not that translates into obstruction of justice. That's not unimportant. There are Democrats who are going to argue that statement, asking the request that he made, and was there pressure applied that makes the president a subject for possible impeachment?
Dr. Terry Madonna, Franklin and Marshall Polling Center, just a few more thoughts. So could he be brought up on criminal charges, meaning the former FBI director, for admitting that he went to his friend, a professor at Columbia, to leak this information that would possibly stir enough interest to create the probe, which is now underway with these Senate Intelligence Committee hearings?
Yeah. My sense is probably not. Here's the threshold question. So you go to a meeting, and you're an official of the federal government.
Right.
You go to a meeting, you take copious notes. Do those notes belong to you, or do they belong to the federal government? And the other question, and it's pretty important, is, and it's related, what is the nature of a confidential discussion with the President of the United States? What is the nature of that conversation that needs and should remain confidential? And that's another element that's going to play out here. So my sense is I don't think that Comey is likely to be charged.
All right, here's the last question. Here's the last question, Dr. Terry Madonna. Who is the winner after this testimony today? Or is it still only round one?
I think it's round one. I think each side can draw, conclusions that benefit them, and that's obviously going to be the case. It's going to be decided definitively by Robert Mueller, the special prosecutor's, what's going to be lengthy investigation. That's going to decide all of this. When it's all said and done, that's going to determine what happens. We may not get a definitive answer ever. It may be one of those questions that just go unresolved. Not every question gets resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, we're going to have to see what the political ramifications are. Does this cause no, minor, or significant erosion of Trump's support? So you have to think about it in those terms as well, even though we're looking at the possibility that Democrats try to push impeachment because of the charge that he obstructed justice by trying to get James Comey to drop the investigation of Michael Flynn.
Dr. Terry Madonna, Franklin and Marshall Polling Center. Tomorrow, Rob Pratte, me from Mike Pintek, noon to 3 in the first hour. Criminal attorney Phil DeLucente talks about it from the legal standpoint, the hearing today, the testimony. And then coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, our political correspondent Bill Green returns. He was on earlier today with Mike Pintek. And in the middle, Christopher Wray, the new nominee for FBI director from our president, a person that knows him, former U.S. Attorney of Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh native Mary Beth Buchanan. Busy day tomorrow on News Radio 1020 KDK. Dr. Madonna, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, everybody.